They say love is blind. But the truth is, love sees everything. It sees through the noise, the pretense, the armor. And when it's real, it doesn't need to dominate. It influences. It inspires. It stays. Today, we're diving deep into something most people misunderstand: how true love can make you unforgettable in the mind of the woman you love. Not through games, not through control, but through psychological presence, the quiet magnetic force that shapes how someone feels when they're around you. This is the psychology of emotional influence. And once you understand it, you'll stop chasing connection and start creating it. Let's start with a lie we've all been sold: that love, attraction, and influence come from dominance, from being alpha, from playing it cool. But here's the uncomfortable truth: the people who seem to control others emotionally aren't dominant. They're emotionally fluent. They understand how emotion works in themselves and in others. They know how to create emotional contrast, the push and pull, the calm and chaos that make love feel alive. Because influence in love isn't about control, it's about impact. You don't control a woman's mind by being stronger than her. You become unforgettable by making her feel something she can't feel anywhere else. That's the difference between a momentary attraction and a psychological imprint. Let's break this down with some psychology. In neuroscience, there's a principle called emotional tagging. Whenever we experience something emotionally intense, joy, fear, awe, love, our brain tags that memory with stronger neural connections. That's why we vividly remember our first heartbreak, our first victory, or the first time someone really saw us. When you make someone feel deeply, their brain literally records you differently. You don't just become a memory, you become an emotional reference point. So the question isn't, how do I make her like me? The question is, how do I create an emotional experience that lives inside her? And here's the paradox: you can only do that through genuine love. Because love activates empathy. It sharpens emotional awareness. It makes you more attentive, more patient, more magnetic. It makes you someone whose presence changes the emotional climate of the room. That's real influence. Humans crave two things in love: safety and excitement. Safety says, you can trust me. Excitement says, you'll never get bored with me. Most people only give one. The safe person, steady, kind, predictable, often becomes invisible. The exciting person, wild, mysterious, becomes exhausting. But emotional influence lives in the balance between both. When a woman feels both secure and stimulated by you, her brain releases a cocktail of dopamine, anticipation, oxytocin, bonding, and serotonin, stability. That blend creates not just attraction, but emotional addiction. The feeling of, I don't just want him, I feel like I know him in a way I can't explain. That's what makes love unforgettable. Not control, but contrast, the perfect dance of safety and surprise. Let's redefine dominance. Real dominance isn't loud, it's directional. It's not about overpowering, it's about leading energy. When you love someone deeply and with emotional intelligence, you naturally take emotional leadership. You're the one who stays calm when she's overwhelmed. You're the one who can shift tension into laughter. You're the one who turns ordinary moments into something memorable. That's not manipulation, that's emotional regulation. And people who can regulate emotion influence others effortlessly, because emotion is contagious. When your nervous system stays grounded, you teach hers to relax. When your energy rises in joy, you invite her to rise with you, without words, without pressure, just presence. That's what every emotionally mature woman craves. A man who doesn't just feel, but guides feeling. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think vulnerability makes them weak. But vulnerability, in the right dose, is the gateway to trust. When you're authentic, when you reveal truth instead of performing confidence, you give permission for emotional depth. That's how love becomes three-dimensional. A woman might be impressed by strength, but she's moved by honesty, because truth creates resonance, the psychological sense of, I can be my full self here. And when someone feels that with you, they don't just like you, they bond with you. That's what true love does. It dissolves the masks we wear to survive. It lets the raw human underneath finally breathe. That's the emotional influence most people never master. Here's a subtle truth. We don't fall in love with people. We fall in love with the version of ourselves we experience through them. If a woman feels intelligent, desired, alive, and safe in your presence, she will associate those feelings with you. That's the mirror effect. Every emotionally intelligent person becomes a mirror that reflects someone's highest potential back at them. So when you love genuinely, you're not trying to dominate her mind. You're shaping the way she experiences herself through your love. That's influence at the deepest level. Because when someone realizes who they are in your presence, they'll never forget you.
Let's go even deeper, to the subconscious layer. Most emotional influence doesn't happen through words. It happens through tone, timing, and attention. Your tone signals safety or threat. Your timing signals emotional attunement. Your attention signals value. Every time you truly listen, not waiting for your turn to talk, but really hearing her, you trigger the brain's reward system. You communicate, you matter. That's what creates emotional resonance. And it's why love isn't about saying the right thing, it's about feeling the right thing while you say it. Authenticity is the most powerful frequency there is. When your energy matches your intention, you become psychologically transparent. And transparency builds trust faster than any technique. Now, let's address something most people are afraid to admit. Desire and love don't always align. Desire is about novelty, the thrill of the unknown. Love is about familiarity, the comfort of being known. But emotional influence means bridging both. When your love is deep enough to create safety, and your presence is bold enough to keep mystery alive, you give someone the rarest feeling: secure excitement. That's what keeps attraction alive over years, not months. The paradox is, the more authentically you love, the more unpredictable you become. Because genuine emotion is never scripted. That's why people who love with awareness become unforgettable. Their love is alive, unpredictable, human. Let's talk about something uncomfortable: the psychology of absence. When you love deeply, your presence shapes someone's inner rhythm. They adjust their emotional pace to yours. So when you're gone, physically or emotionally, the absence creates an echo. That's not manipulation, it's biology. We are wired to seek the people who regulate our emotions. That's why true love lingers, because the body remembers what the mind tries to forget. But here's the warning: this influence comes with responsibility. Use it carelessly, and you create dependency. Use it consciously, and you create growth. True emotional influence means I leave you better than I found you. Presence isn't about time spent. It's about quality of attention. You can spend 5 minutes with someone and make them feel more seen than they've felt in years. That's because presence is rare. We live in a world addicted to distraction, and attention has become the new currency of love. If you can master deep presence, eye contact without agenda, listening without judgment, touch without entitlement, you'll access the purest form of influence, emotional gravity. The feeling that pulls people toward you without effort. That's the real dominance. Not control, but centeredness. The kind that says, I know who I am, I don't need to chase, I am attracted. True love doesn't end with romance. It evolves into imprint. You become a chapter in someone's emotional biography. The person who changed how they see love, trust, or themselves. And even if paths diverge, the emotional DNA remains. That's the final form of influence. When your love becomes part of someone's inner voice. They carry your lessons, your energy, your emotional tone, because you didn't just touch their body, you touched their being. That's what it means to be unforgettable. So, how do you actually build this kind of influence? Here's a practical roadmap. 1. Self-awareness first. You can't influence what you don't understand. Observe your own emotions before trying to shape someone else's. 2. Lead with empathy, not ego. When you seek to understand instead of to win, you automatically rise in emotional authority. 3. Create emotional contrast. Let your presence include calm and passion, stability and spontaneity. 4. Speak to the heart, not the mind. Logic convinces, emotion converts. 5. Let love refine you. Every emotional connection is a mirror, showing you where you need to grow. Remember, emotional influence isn't a skill you perform. It's a byproduct of who you become. Here's the final truth. You can't make anyone love you. You can only become someone who reminds people what love feels like. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not power, not status, not control, but presence, depth, and truth. Because in the end, the mind may forget the details, but the heart never forgets how it was changed. So, love deeply, love intelligently, love like you're teaching the world what it means to feel again. Because that is the psychology of emotional influence. When someone truly loves you, what's the one emotion you'll always remember them for? Share your answer in the comments. Your insight might just wake someone else up.